You have left something. We all had a wonderful day visiting with the good people at the Rupununi village of Sand Creek, and we're ready to leave. The community is located over 300 miles south from the city of Georgetown on Guyana's low-lying coastline. Sand Creek is poised at the base of the majestic Kanaku mountain range, which stretches over 100 miles, from Suriname to the east and Brazil to the west. It is the home of the endangered giant harpy eagle. It is also the home of that dreaded Canaima, a mysterious spirit which can bring much harm to a human, even death. Canaima, a spirit which at times takes on a human form. Feared by the Amerindians, we were told, and advised to be very careful in our dealings with the local people. Don't let anyone have a cause to put Canaima on you. Awapishana had advised us even before we had left the city. A group of 25, including 21 Guyanese, 2 Canadians and 2 Americans, were in the capable hands of mature tour organizer Marge Rockcliffe, a teacher by profession and the Girl Guides leader. Our journey to Sand Creek was in 3 phases. First, by a chartered bus from Georgetown to the airport at Temeri. From there, we made a 1-hour flight by a reliable Guyana Airways DC-3 aircraft to Lethem. Lethem is the capital of the Rupununi, the southern savanna region of Guyana. It is located on the eastern bank of the Takatu River, which forms part of the boundary between Guyana and Brazil. We were on an Easter weekend tour of the Rupununi savannas, cattle country with a population of mainly indigenous peoples. The region is also over 80% Catholic. On this visit to Sand Creek village, we found out that it is inhabited by about 800 of the Wapishana nation, a strong, resolute people. We also found out that almost everyone at Sand Creek is Catholic. At the center of the village is a small thatch roof church with dirt floor and wooden benches. The resident priest was a British Jesuit, Father McLennan, tall, lean, with long shaggy hair and a beard which took across much of his chest. Our journey from Lethem around the western end of the Kanaku mountain range was by truck. This mountain range divides the Rupununi into the north and south savannas. The old Bedford truck took a little over 2 hours to complete the journey along the bumpy, unpaved trail across the savanna. During most of the journey, we saw hundreds of heads of cattle. Those of us who glanced towards the mountain in hope to get a glimpse of Canaima were disappointed. Immediately on our arrival at Sand Creek, we paid a courtesy call on Father McKinnon and the Tushao of the village. Both were awaiting our arrival at the presbytery building adjacent to the small church. They both gave us a warm welcome and wished us an enjoyable visit. During our 2-hour stay at Sand Creek, we were treated with the hospitality of which the people of the Rupununi are well known. We in turn supported their cottage industries by purchasing hundreds of dollars of art and craft, which included their well-made hammocks. We also purchased their very potent brew, Parakari, generally referred to as Kari. This is one of the potent brews by the indigenous peoples of Guyana. 2 young men of our group just could not wait until our return to let them to imbibe. The Kari, they said, was too tempting. It went down well, they chuckled after every gulp, which they did with a measure of decorum. Fortunately, Parakari, though very potent, takes a while to give what usually is a knockout punch, and so our 2 imbibers were not the worse for their indiscretion. Many of the villagers surrounded the truck to say a fond farewell as we climbed into the tray of the vehicle. The 2 young imbibers, though young they were, found it much more difficult to climb in than did the older men and women. It was already over an hour since they had taken gulp after gulp of the drink. From the Kanaku Mountains, Kanaima was watching every indiscretion, gulp after gulp. Some of the villagers, especially the children who had observed the two young men as they drank the parakari, were openly giggling at their condition. The driver of the truck, already comfortably seated behind the wheel of the cab of the old Bedford truck, ready for the journey around the western end of the Kanaku mountain range, back to Lethem. "Everybody on board!" he shouted. The reply came in a chorus, "Yes!" The sound of the engine of the old Bedford truck kicked in. Then the shouts of the villagers filled the air. "Bye! Come again! We love you!" And an equally loud response from a happy group of holiday makers. "Bye! We love you too! We had a nice time!" Then the somber voice of a male elder as he raised his right hand. "Thanks for coming. Have a safe trip back to Lethem." Then making the sign of the cross with his outstretched arm. "And may the good Lord bless you in abundance." From the mountains, Kanaima looked on in anger. The head of the touring party, with a broad smile, said, "And may the good Lord bless you and everyone here at Sand Creek." "Hold tight," the driver said, as he put the vehicle into gear. It vibrated a little as it began its 2-hour-plus journey out of Sand Creek back to Lethem. Everyone was waving to the villagers who had come to see them off, and the villagers were waving back, broad smiles in their faces. About a dozen teenagers, young teen boys, ran behind the truck for about a minute, but gave up after the heavy dust churned up from the truck as the wheels picked up the speed, began to choke them, and they could hardly see the vehicle. A moment later, the sight of Father McKinnon, at full gallop on his horse Simon, made the boys dash to either side of the dusty road. Father McKinnon, his hair blowing in the wind, beard dancing from side to side of his slim body, was chasing after the truck, shouting at the top of his lungs, "You have left something! You have left something!" The head of the group shouted over the sound of the truck, "Anybody forget anything?" Everyone began checking to see if they had left any of their belongings, camera, lunch baskets, backpack, items purchased, including carry. Whatever was Father McKinnon getting closer on his horse, he was still shouting, "You have left something! You have left something!" He continued shouting. Someone gave a loud thump on the roof of the cab of the truck. The driver brought it to a quick stop. Father McKinnon, still at full gallop on his horse, continued his shouts, "You have left something! You have left something!" No one could find out anything missing. Then, circling the vehicle, still at full gallop, and with his long white beard blowing in the breeze and the long wake of dust behind him, the priest began heading back into the village, still shouting, "You have left something! You have left something! A good impression!"